a decision, make it with your doctor, if it especially maybe pertains to some of your medication. But I also have like an opening question for us. So today's topic is, are you doing the topic, Jody?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say it's good timing because I was looking at the calendar and a little bit of panic ensued here. We are 3 weeks to the day to Christmas Day. Mhm. It
Three
is
weeks.
coming. I know. So go ahead, Cheryl, with your first question.
20 more sleeps until Christmas, right? Yay. My question is, what is that one holiday food that you cannot say no to? We are
Oh,
talking about holiday eating today. So put in the chat one food you can't resist during Christmas. I'll start. Well, I love, love, love panettone from Italy, but I'm gluten-free, so I can't eat it. But I'm gonna make one this year and see how that goes. First
I think
effort,
it's a
first
lot
try.
of work.
It is. It takes at least 24 hours, but
Hmm.
results will be worth it.
Okay. I would say my favorite treats at Christmas, I love all the little appetizers. I like the dips and the chips and the carrots and all the little things and the little bite-sized things. That's where I get into trouble. And then after I'm in the midst of that, then I'm like, oh, now I need something sweet. And then I have a little sweet, and then it's like, oh, now I think I can have salt again. Let's go back and forth. How about you, Dr. Saunders? What is your Christmas weakness?
Well, I don't really have a weakness. It's just that during Christmas, I start making food because I like cooking. So I
Mm.
cook and I want to cook good food. And so I start making the things that my grandparents made. And so, for example, like for Thanksgiving, I made sweet potato casserole. That's sweet potatoes or yams and apples. So there's layers like lasagna of yams and apples, and then it has a spiced orange sauce on it, and then of course marshmallows over the top, right? You gotta
You
have
need to drop the recipe in the chat.
Yeah.
that.
That sounds so good.
It
Oh,
is. It's really
that's
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I see that Teresa also agrees. She likes the cookies. Yeah, it's hard to stay away from the cookies and Christmas. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, Dr. Saunders, take it away. Help us prepare to eat well during the
Okay. Okay, think about how easy it is for you to decide what you're going to do. And if you decide in advance, then that makes it a lot easier. If you wait till something comes up, then that makes it hard. Then the decision is hard because, gosh, I really want that, but I know I shouldn't have it, but it's just this once. And but if your decision is already made in advance, so let me give you some examples. If somebody has homemade oatmeal raisin cookies, I am allowed to eat them. And because that's what if somebody has, if they're bought from a store or from a like a bakery or something, then that's from a store, that's bakery. That's not homemade stuff. So homemade stuff. So if you make yourself some rules and say, I can have this. So like what Cheryl was talking about. What's your favorite thing? What's the one thing? Okay, so you take that one thing and you say, I am allowed that one thing. That's something I am going to sit down and enjoy, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I've made it in advance. I've decided that that's the one thing I can eat, and I'm going to pass up all of the stuff that I'm not really that interested in so that I could really enjoy this one thing and not like have a guilt trip over it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there might be more than one thing, and that's okay. And so allowing yourself something, not a reward, but just having a rule and then obeying your rule. Whatever that rule is, make a rule. So other things include, well, my daughter and I, for example, we have this thing going on where we don't eat after 6 o'clock at night. And if I eat after 6, I have to pay her $10. And if she eats after 6, she has to pay me $10. So it just makes me think, when it's after 6 o'clock and I go, is this worth $10? You
That
know.
I love that.
And you know what? Sometimes it is. Sometimes I go, no, it's worth $10. And I just get out my Venmo and I send my daughter a Venmo and said, I'm having dinner with friends. Ha ha ha. And I send her $10 and on purpose. But
But accountability.
yeah, it makes you think about it
Mhm.
twice. So having something like having a rule and then having an accountability for the rule. And that's a really good way to keep your holiday eating under control
Mhm.
without being like uh, overly stiff. Like some people are like, no, I can't have any. Oh, that's really rude for you to offer that because I'm not supposed to eat that. Or, those kind of things. Like people um, have a really hard time and get grumpy over it. So there's no reason to get grumpy. Be happy, enjoy the things you really love, and then just pass on the things that, like that's not that important to me, kind of, and allow that to pass.
The rule that I kind of have for myself is I don't want to feel obligated, and so I'm going to be polite. And if somebody makes something for me and they're with me, of course I'm going to try it and all that. But if I'm like at a buffet line,
Mhm.
or someone's home or whatever, and I'm choosing my foods or whatnot, if I start to eat something and it's just not like a real winner for me, then I'm gonna stop. I don't want to waste my calories. I want to save them for like you would say the oatmeal raisin cookies or whatever. I want to save them for what I really love. So don't be afraid to stop if it's not that great.
Yeah.
That's a good
Hopefully it will.
rule.
Mhm.
That's a good rule. Stop in the middle. Yeah. So another thing to consider is that you have the ability when you're not at somebody's house and somebody's offering you food and giving you stuff and whatever. When you're alone, you could decide, okay, I am only going to have something like salads or raw vegetables, or I'm only going to eat raw foods, and that's all. So, what do raw foods offer you? Well, you can have fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds, but you're not going to have things that are cooked, or something like that. I had somebody do that once, which is why I bring it up. And I said, okay, we got to do a cleanse, so just eat raw foods for a week. And she came back to me after she'd done that and she said, wow, it was so good. I feel so light. I feel so much better. I'm going to continue doing this for the rest of my life. When you're alone, you can make a rule for yourself and say, this is what I'm going to do. And then when you go to somebody else's house, they're going to offer you things that you normally wouldn't eat. There you go. Okay, I'll try some of that. And it's okay. And then you don't have to feel guilty about it or anything because when you go back and you're at home by yourself that you're going to have a carrot stick and you're going to be fine with that.
What about when you're at a dinner table and you have all the starches? You have the sweet potato yam casserole and the regular mashed potatoes, and then you have the turkey and the ham or whatever. What is the best strategy for eating to avoid like the blood sugar spike?
Okay. There are several sort of tricks that you could do that help that kind of thing. Number one, uh, eat the things that don't have sugar in them first. So you eat things like things that are high in fiber, like the vegetables. So you have some Brussels sprouts there, and so you eat the Brussels sprouts first, and the spinach and a salad, and then you have some meat, some protein, and then afterward, then you have your sweet potato casserole, whatever. And what that does is it slows down the absorption of the sugar so that you don't have a spike. So it'll still go up, but it'll just go up gradually and then go down and it won't spike too high so you don't make more insulin. Because one of the problems with sugar spikes is you make insulin. So if you're sitting there and you've got a bowl full of watermelon and you eat the whole bowl of watermelon, man, your sugar's going to spike, especially if you have insulin resistance or diabetes. To avoid that, you eat other things first, high in fiber and proteins and stuff like that first. Would be one way. Another way is just to choose small amounts. So there's sweet potatoes and mashed potatoes and stuffing, and you go, okay, I'll have a spoonful of this and a spoonful of that and a spoonful of that, and so rather than a plateful of all three.
Yeah,
Oh, my platefuls fun.
Yeah.
Plateful is fun. No, I remember we had Jerry Mathers with Barton quite a few years ago, and he had gained weight, lost a lot of weight, and then actually ran a catering company. And one of his number one tools was you lose the taste after one or two bites. You
Mm,
only taste the first couple bites, then the rest
mhm,
of them is just shoveling. So
mhm.
savor the first bites, probably too.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that. I can do that like we talked last time about cravings. Like, so if I am craving sweets, I can usually, you know, kick the craving with one Hershey's Kiss, versus a whole chocolate bar or a piece of cake or, or something very small. So I agree with that. Something else that I do too is if I know it's going to be a meal that I'm apt to overeat, or, overindulge, I will try to drink a glass of water before, or if there's a soup with a clear broth, not a fatty soup, but maybe with a chicken broth or something like that, I'll try and eat it first because then it fills me up a little bit more and I'm not so ravished then to overeat on all the other things.
Yeah, yeah. Or you can eat whole foods. Eat the whole pie, the whole cake, the whole pizza,
I like that plan.
That is the best one I've heard.
the
Yes.
whole chicken. No, but I like what Cheryl said, and this actually is a real thing because I've looked at it both ways. When I make my green smoothies, I go to my garden, I pick the kale out of my garden, and then I'll put some blueberries or something in it. And the kale's kind of bitter, right? And so when I drink it, the first like two sips are bitter, but then after that, the bitterness goes away, like the taste is gone.
Hmm.
And then it works the other way with like super sweet things. So an oatmeal raisin cookie, if I have a half an oatmeal raisin cookie, then I enjoy the taste and I really enjoy it, and then I'm done. I don't have to like eat more and more and more and more. And
Especially if
so
you eat slow, if you don't just gobble it down. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, enjoy the
Yeah.
first couple of bites. It's a
Savor.
great idea.
Mhm.
And when my kids were little and we would go to the thrifty ice cream store, they would get like triple scoops, right? Well, they'll have these stack of ice cream scoops, and I would be looking at, I'd ask for a taste spoon. Can I taste that one there? And taste that one. Okay, can I taste that one there? Okay, thank you, done. That was
Trouble with my family. I do the same thing. They'll order something and then the server will say, "Would you like to order?" Like, no, I'll just have a taste of theirs
Yeah.
and I'm good. I just need a little bit.
It's true. That's all you
Mhm.
need is a little bit to get
Oh,
the flavor.
yes, yes. Rayanne in the chat says, "Don't arrive hungry. Have a protein bar before you enter the party." That's great.
Yeah, some people do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, even drinking a cup of water, I have people that do that.
Hmm.
Some of my patients do that. It's a trick.
Yeah. Jody mentioned that too, drinking water beforehand, but not while you eat because that actually dilutes your stomach acids and you might get indigestion if you didn't know
Uh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what about alcohol? So, alcohol is everywhere during the holidays, and that can impact blood sugar. Is there anything that should happen like before, or after drinking alcohol to avoid maybe, I guess, the blood sugar spike?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. Don't drink on an empty stomach. If you have other food in your stomach, then the food empties according to calories. So if you're drinking on an empty stomach, it's going to get through your stomach really quickly and be absorbed quickly and go into your liver quickly. And whereas you can slow that down by having it with a meal.
Excellent. All right. Go ahead and make sure you're putting your questions in the Q&A for us, and we will get those answered. Cheryl, did you have another question about eating well for the holidays?
Well, I have an issue with bloating. So
Oh,
after a meal,
yes, yes.
um, so what's the problem with bloating, especially after a holiday meal? Is it the size of the meal? Is it distress, like family stress? Or what can I do to prevent bloating or post bloat? What do I do to take care of it?
Okay, thank you. There are several issues involved with bloating, and it's not as simple as people would think. Oh, I just ate too much, or I got gas, or something, and they're trying to burp up the gas out of their stomach. Um, but bloating, where you feel like your stomach is like pushing out, like your belly is pushing out, and women come in and they say, "I feel like I'm pregnant after I eat." It's just like pushing out. Okay, the stress part that Cheryl mentioned is like so important because that's a real thing. In the 1940s, there was a whole bunch of women that were going to this clinic in Cleveland, and they were bloated. And they're like so uncomfortable. Like after every single meal, they're bloated, and nobody could figure out what their problem was. So they decided to do a study. Now, these were the days before had MRI scans and CT scans, and the only way they could tell was doing an exploratory laparotomy. That means cutting them open and opening up the abdomen and looking inside and seeing what's in there. Okay, so
Or
this is a big deal. These they were all women, were so uncomfortable that they were willing to undergo an exploratory laparotomy. And guess what they found at 99 after 99 surgeries? Nothing, zero. Like everybody was normal when they looked inside. They didn't have any inspissation. They didn't have any bloating. They didn't have any gas. They didn't have any enlarged or any obstructions. Like nothing. It didn't make any sense until the anesthesiologist. So the anesthesiologist is looking at him and saying, well, so afterward, after they've done all these and they're talking about it, right? They're in the doctor's lounge. And in the doctor's lounge, the anesthesiologist, well, it's kind of funny. I watch them, and as they're going to sleep, I noticed as soon as they go to sleep, their stomach immediately goes down. Like before you even cut them open, their stomach was already down as soon as they went to sleep. And nobody could figure out why that was. It was like 20 years later when somebody else was doing a study and they go, "Oh, I found this old study." And they started looking at options, and what they found was that stress produces spasms of the diaphragms. Now, diaphragms are two muscles right under your ribs that pull your lungs down. So you go, so, and if you notice, when you take a deep breath, your stomach bloats out. And that's exactly what was happening. It was a spasm of the diaphragm. So if you have bloating after a meal and you feel like your stomach's just pushing out, consider that possibility because that's actually fairly common. Especially like Cheryl was saying, wow, what is it? Stress? Yes. Stress is a sympathetic nervous system response, and that causes spasms of the diaphragm, pushes everything, pulls your lungs down and pushes your abdomen out. And relaxation is the parasympathetic nervous system that relaxes your diaphragm. So, one thing you can do, her other question was, what can I do about bloating? Well, one of the things you might be able to do is to lie down if you're feeling really bloated and take deep breaths into your abdomen and then push all the air out and just practice that. So you take a deep breath, so your abdomen goes up and your chest stays low, chest down, abdomen goes up, and then you push it all down and all the way up, push all the air out, let all the air out, and then take a deep breath again. So those yoga breathing, Wim Hof breathing, they do like square breathing where you breathe in for 7 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, breathe out for 7 seconds, and then hold it for 7 seconds, or the 8 seconds some of them do, or whatever, 5 seconds some of them. Anyway, but square breathing, whatever. But breathing exercises could be something that would really help the bloating if you feel bloated.
Interesting. All right. Well, Lily in the chat has some maybe kind of along the same line. She says, "Can you explain burping? Is there a remedy for that?" So, does burping have anything to do with buildup of gas?
No, that's a
Tell
different
us about
issue.
burping.
So burping is gas in the stomach. It's actually in the organ, the stomach, not in the abdomen, in the stomach. So when there's gas in the stomach, you have to ask the question, why? Is it because you ate something that is becoming gas? Like, is the acid creating gas? Like, if you mix vinegar and baking soda, you're going to make a whole bunch of carbon dioxide, and then you're going to be burping up. Or if you're drinking soda, that's carbon dioxide, you're swallowing it down. Um, but there's another possibility, and that would be when you're chewing, if you have foamy saliva, foam is gas, and you're swallowing a whole bunch of gas with it. And that is often due to dehydration. And if you're more hydrated, then you'll have more liquid saliva. If you're more dehydrated, you'll have more foamy saliva. And so even like it's not just with a meal, in between meals, you're making saliva, you're making gallons of saliva a day. It's not a small amount, and you're swallowing that down. Now, if half of that is gas, then you're going to be burping a lot. So whether you're swallowing liquid saliva or foamy saliva makes a difference for burping. Along with whatever foods you're eating that may have gas in them that are gonna collect in your stomach, and then you're gonna burp that up.
Where
Very.
do probiotics fall in all of this? So we're gonna eating big foods, rich foods. Should we do something proactive to help that digestion go along faster, smoother, better?
Yeah, as far as probiotics go, if you're on a probiotic, stay on it. If you're not, it's probably a good idea to have one. People used to live with probiotics all the time. Before the germ theory of disease, people didn't know about germs, bacteria, and yeast and viruses and whatever. So they would eat foods that contained a whole lot of those things. Fermented foods of all kinds, yogurt and sauerkraut and all that stuff, cheeses and even aged meats and stuff like that. Well, now we're so careful about preserving things and canning and bottling and irradiating now, so that your milk can be put on the shelf for and last for months or years. I don't know how long it lasts, but I saw one once. Yeah, that you don't put it in the refrigerator anymore. You just put the milk on the shelf. It's ultra pasteurized, and I think it's irradiated, if I remember right. Anyway, so we kill all the bacteria in there, so that it doesn't spoil. But at the same time, now we're not getting probiotics anymore. So sometimes you just have to take a probiotic to get things working.
I was going to say we happen to have one. I'm doing a shameless plug for us. We have a healthy gut. It's a probiotic. Dr. Saunders helped us formulate this. I'll put a link in the chat for it. But do you want to comment on this
Yeah,
one?
do you know why we formulated that? Go to the store and look at all the different stuff that they have for gut. And so I did that, and I went through all of them, and I'm looking at the ingredients, and most of them are a little bits of a lot of different things, and not really useful stuff. And so I looked at, what do we really need? And so we put together an unusual formula. This is a different kind of a formula. It has digestive enzymes and probiotics and prebiotics. So it helps you both digest, and then to add the probiotics, and then the prebiotics feed the probiotics. So it's just something that wasn't available anywhere that we were looking for. And I've had people in my office tell me, "Oh, I've tried everything and nothing works." And so I give them a sample of the healthy gut support, and they're like, "Wow, like I want some more of that," because that worked. So, yeah, good stuff.
And I
Yeah,
think,
oh, go ahead, Jody.
I was gonna say, I love to hear. I think it's a great reminder for all of our viewers that, that you are so involved with the formulations of any of the the supplements that we have. And so I love to hear that there's a thought process behind this. We aren't just slapping stuff together, and so I love to hear your thought process behind that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, sometimes I think that when I read labels, I'm like, somebody just slapped a whole bunch of they just went online on some AI said this is good for the bowels, and then they just and they just put it all in there
Mhm.
without thinking about it. What's my purpose? What is the purpose of this?
For sure. All right, let's see. We've got some other questions in here. So David, he says, is bloating the same as belly fat, like having a big belly? Are there any other remedies?
Okay, different but important. Okay, so belly fat is called visceral fat. The viscera are the organs in your abdomen, and so uh, all of them have fat around them. Your liver has fat around it. Your kidneys have fat around. All of the organs in your intestines have fat around. It's called omentum, which is like an apron of fat that goes all the way down. And it's really amazing what it does. It protects you from, like, even when there's ruptures in the small bowel or something. This omentum will go in and will wrap around and like bandage it up until the it can heal from the inside, and it's just really incredible. People that had a ruptured appendix, in the old days before they would do surgery right away. Well, could actually heal from a ruptured appendix. Some of them died, of course, and we avoid that with surgery today. But some of them, their omentum would wrap around it. So these are the fat. This is the fat inside your belly. It's a different kind of fat than what's under your skin.
Mhm.
What's under your skin is just storage fat, whereas in your belly, it's an active metabolic fat, which is kind of important because having that fat there comes from like when you have high insulin levels. Insulin tells your body to hold on to more visceral fat, and then that pushes your belly out, and so you can have a big, pregnant-looking belly. Just from having excess fat in there, but that's not the same as bloating. That's not the diaphragms, spasming down. That's not gas enlarging your intestines. That is actually it's fat. And what to do about the fat is to get your insulin level down. And so you look at the diabetes solution kit, which is a ketogenic diet. And what that does is lowers your insulin level. That's the beginning point to lower your insulin level so that you can use that fat for energy. Because if you're doing exercise and your insulin level's high, you're going to be using other fat and other, well, glucose at first, and you're not going to use that belly fat until your insulin is down. And so that's why that's important, David. The other thing is for gas, is to look at why the gas is there. So some people do have something called SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and you should not have bacteria in your small intestine. That's for the large intestine. The small intestine gets washed out and everything gets washed down to the colon where your bacteria stay. And so, but if you have bacteria that are residing in your small intestine, then they're going to love whatever you're eating and they're going to make a whole lot of gas out of that. And you're going to be going, boo, I'm feeling bloated and sick and get diarrhea and all that. So the important thing there is to allow time between meals for your intestines to clean out. So you have to have an empty stomach. And ideally, you put between 4 and 5 hours between a meal. So that gives your intestines time to clean out so that you don't get that SIBO.
Excellent. All right. Let's do a little bit of a shift here. I know we've been talking about food and eating well for the holidays, but let's talk a little bit about our immune during the holidays. We've got travel, we've got stress, we are busy, 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 busy. We have poor sleep. we're around many people that we may not be. So besides avoiding all of those people, what is something that you recommend to help us bolster our immune system during this busy season?
Okay, so everything you said, the best thing to do is don't do that. Because
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
because if you look at your immune function, um, maybe 20% of it is what you eat and the supplements that you have and the usual things like medications and all the things that you worry about. And then the other 80% is stress. And so if you want to keep your immune system functioning well, the best way is to not be stressed. So you said, you know what, you're not going to be sleeping well. Well, I'm sleeping ideally the same time every night, going to bed the same time every night, and waking up at the same time every morning. Awesome. But you know what? That's not always possible. But if you're traveling somewhere, and yes, traveling 2 time zones is enough to mess up your circadian rhythm. So then what happens? Well, your immune system then doesn't function as well because your cortisol levels go up, and that suppresses your immune function and all that. So, what do you do when you're not eating right and you're not sleeping right and the baby's born and all this stuff? Okay, here's something. So first of all, keep that 20% functioning well. And that means take your vitamin D. Okay? 10,000 units a day during this period of time is a great idea because you're not going to get any from sunshine at this time of year. So 10,000 units a day of vitamin D. Zinc. Take 30 milligrams of zinc a day. Zinc is so important for immune function. It's part of the enzymes that allows antibodies to be made. It's very important to have enough of that. You can also take some herbs, astragalus, and what was the other one? I was comfrey, and there was another one though. Anyway, ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is something that's been heavily studied and works really well for the cortisol part. So it's called an adaptogen because it allows your adrenal glands to adapt to stress better, so that you don't have like spikes of cortisol going way up and then way down, then way up, then way down, and that messes up your immune system. So you blunt that response with ashwagandha. So you can do that. Um, the other thing is to maintain, and this works really well for your immune system, is every night before you go to sleep, take just a few minutes and think about the 3 things that were good about your day. Just 3 things. And make that a habit that no matter where you are, if you're traveling somewhere, if you're at somebody else's house, take out your journal. Maybe you got it on your computer. That's where mine is. Or if it's a book, bring it, and just think about 3 things and write them down. Write down the 3 things that were good about today. So, and good is you, whatever you think is good. So, I got to see my aunt that I hadn't seen in years. That was great. That was good. A baby was born. That was good. I still ran my 5K, even though I was at 5,000 foot elevation and I made it all the way. Yay, that was good. I was able to cook my favorite meal today. That was good. So whatever, or I had half an oatmeal raisin cookie that was homemade by my mom. That was good. So writing those 3 things down and making that a habit every day, one of the things that does is during the day, the rest of the day, you're looking for good things.
Mm.
You're looking and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to write that down. That's going to be my good thing tonight when I get before I go to bed. And what it does is it makes a shift in your brain because your brain is automatically looking for bad things. It's automatic. You don't have any control over that. That is the limbic system. It's your autonomic nervous system. It has nothing to do with you at all. It is the way the brain functions is to look for danger.
Mhm.
Because why? It's survival. It's all a matter of survival. So you have to get out of the survival mode and put yourself into I'm looking for the good. And so as you're doing that, over time, your stress levels go down, your stress hormone levels go down, you don't spike as far, you don't have the issues of sleep problems, and things will go better because that actually improves your function.
So an attitude of gratitude is good for the body.
And
In
that's another one
many
too. Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
All right, we had a follow-up question about the vitamin D in the chat. So ours says 10,000 milligrams of vitamin D a day. My supplement has 125 micrograms.
Okay.
Are we off
No.
by an order of magnitude?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, what your supplement is 125 micrograms, and that's 5,000 units. So a unit, so 40,000 units is 1 milligram. So that's 40,000 units, 1 milligram. So you have 125 micrograms. That's 0.125 milligrams. Okay, so the orders of magnitude we're talking about here. So 10,000 units is 250 micrograms. So that would be just two of your pills. That's all.
Yeah, are you talking about arsenochroma? Because arsenochroma has 125 micrograms of vitamin D in it. So
Exactly.
yes, which is highly recommended if you're a diabetic or have blood sugar issues. Yes, so you could take two of these to meet your vitamin D requirements, one in the morning and one with your biggest meal, second and the other with your biggest meal of the day.
Yep. Yep. And that would be great. And that's a great way to get it, Synachroma, because it also has the vitamin K. It also has selenium and it also has chromium to help you use all the sugar that you're eating during the holidays.
We will make sure we drop the link for Cinechroma in the chat. And then we just also want to remind you, if you do use that code webinar25, you'll get 25% off, even if you sign up for a subscription. So that's 25% off each time. So that's a good thing there. All right. Cheryl, did you have another question that you wanted to ask?
Let me think. No, I wanted to get to some of the questions in the
All right.
chat.
Tom just asked, how much ashwagandha?
Well, see, ashwagandha is an herb, and there's herbal extracts, and there's different forms of it and different types of it. So it's not like a how much like yeah, they do have standardized doses, but essentially you kind of because it's an herb, you have to go with the label, whatever it says on the label, because they're going to be different.
Okay. All right. We've had a couple questions about, is it capsaicin? Is that how you say it?
Capsaicin.
Capsaicin. Can it help with blood sugar control?
Um, Gosh, I don't know that capsaicin does that. So capsaicin is the chemical in hot peppers that makes them hot. That's what makes your tongue burn because it releases something called substance P, and it tricks your body into thinking that there's something hot there. It stimulates the hot receptors, and that's why it does that. Um, a- as to whether that is as helpful for blood sugar control, I don't know. I don't know of any research on that. I'll have to look that up.
Okay. All right. And here's an interesting question. Sib says, speaking of vinegar and baking soda earlier, what would you consider a good homemade and safe fruit wash for my fruits in the morning? Because, they're putting all that stuff on our
Mm,
produce now.
Yep.
Yeah.
How are you washing your produce, Dr.
Good
Saunders?
question.
Well, I just wash it in water, just plain water. I know they have those sprays, and baking soda is if you mix it in water, it's pretty good for washing things off of it. But I just wash them in water.
I don't know if this is good or not, but I like to put lemon in my water, so I wash the lemon with vinegar before I put it into my water.
Uh-huh.
Figured it's going to
Yeah.
be in my water all, half the day before I get a new glass or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Suzanne says, my mom says that she's immune deficient. Is this a real diagnosis? Can she help this?
There is actual immune deficiency. Some people are born with it. There's all kinds from severe immune deficiency. If you've ever heard of the boy in the bubble,
Mhm.
where they actually tried this with a boy sterilizing his body, like killing every bacteria, and then putting him in a bubble so he couldn't get any bacteria or viruses or anything. It's not a long-term solution, of course. But yeah, some people have from severe combined immunodeficiency SCIDs to mild immunodeficiency syndromes. And I had somebody yesterday who has it's called eosinophilia, where they make really high this one white blood cell called eosinophils. And it is an immunodeficiency, but it also causes them to have excessive reactions to things and makes them like allergic to everything, but they're not really having true allergies. They release histamine really easily. So it's a histamine response. So yeah, there is immunodeficiency. It can be genetic, and there's all different types, and there are some of them that you can improve and work with and fix, or at least allow somebody to live a normal life. And other ones, you just gotta be really careful, and then it's a lot.
Dr. Saunders has frozen.
Frozen.
Oh,
I'm not frozen.
well, your face might be.
Yes,
I
There
I
you
did
go.
see that. I did see that movie.
yes.
We could all break out into song now.
Uh-huh. I like the question that Abraham has. Because we mentioned synochroma,
Hmm.
and Dr. Saunders, you said it has vitamin D in it and everything else. It does have cinnamon in it. So is cinnamon good for blood sugar? This is the synochroma.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. Well, the reason it's there is because it helps the body to be more sensitive to insulin. So the idea of synochroma isn't to fix your diabetes problem for blood sugar. It's to help you to be more sensitive to insulin, because ultimately that's what we're looking for when you're on phase one of the program, is we're looking for your body to be more insulin sensitive. And so yes, the cinnamon does help that. However, you have to look at, this is the synochroma, for example, the capsule is a 100 to 1 concentration of cinnamon. So if you wanted the same amount, like if you were eating like cinnamon rolls or something, you would be putting tablespoons of cinnamon on. I think Joe did a
He
video once
did.
where he actually took a spoonful of
Yes.
cinnamon and sprayed it all over the
Cinnamon
Can you
place.
even
challenge.
imagine? But yeah, we got it in our teeny tiny pill.
Yeah,
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 why would you take Cinechroma versus you can go to Amazon or Walmart and just
Hmm.
buy a supplement with cinnamon, just cinnamon? Why would you? We were talking about this actually in a Barton, one of our internal meetings yesterday.
yeah.
Why would you buy Cinechroma versus just a supplement with cinnamon in it?
Okay, so this was formulated to be different than anything else because there wasn't anything out there that had the vitamin D, which makes you more sensitive to insulin, and the vitamin K that allows you to put the calcium into your bones that you're absorbing from the vitamin D. Because we use a relatively high dose of vitamin D, 125 micrograms, which is more than most supplements have. So you need the vitamin K, but it also has selenium in it, which is a very important mineral. It's a trace mineral. You need very tiny amounts, but we don't have any in our soils. So the only place you can get it is from Brazil nuts. Why? The Brazil nuts don't need it. Well, they happen to be grown in a soil in eastern Brazil that has a lot of selenium in the soil. So the nuts have selenium in them because the soil did, where our soils don't, and plants don't need selenium, so the farmers don't put it in there. And then chromium, very similar. That's a very common deficiency to have. So what you get from cinechroma is, first of all, we studied this extensively. You get the right kind of cinnamon. A lot of people don't know that. There's more than one kind of cinnamon.
Hmm.
And so you get the right kind and you get the right amount and you get the right amounts of each one of those nutrients. They're not like fairy dusting, like you have, the tiny amounts of a whole bunch of different things. This is the right amount that has been studied to improve insulin sensitivity and improve your blood sugar. And we've had people who were probably deficient in these things get all better, like their blood sugars come down to normal just taking the cinechroma without even going on a diet.
Hmm. My son brought home a cute little craft to me yesterday, and there's a little cinnamon stick in it, but this is
Aw.
not the cinnamon stick that is going to help at all. The wrong kind.
No, but
Suzanne wants to know, do I take Cinechroma if I need the vitamin D, but I don't have diabetes?
You know what? So that's the other thing. It's interesting. I don't have diabetes either, but I do have a sweet tooth and I do eat a lot of carbs. So, so, so Cinechrome is a good supplement, for me. That's how to get my vitamin D. But remember, selenium and chromium are also trace minerals that are not in the soil, and that it's a good supplement anyway for anyone. So yeah, you don't have to have diabetes to take that as a supplement. And it's not just for vitamin D and K. It's the whole thing is helpful because you know what? The problem, because our carb heavy diets make us insulin resistant easily, then even the cinnamon and the cinnamon bark extract that we have is going to be helpful in the long run because the insulin resistance is the biggest problem in probably epidemic proportions in the world because we're looking at things like kidney failure and heart disease and cancers, and insulin is implicated in much of the worst diseases in our society. And so if you can get your insulin levels down by taking Cinechroma, if you don't have diabetes, you're still better off.
Mhm. Absolutely. I take the Cinechroma daily as well.
do I.
All right. Did you have a question,
No,
Cheryl?
I was just gonna. Jody and I are like learning how to read each other.
Yes.
Gonna jump into the questions next. So I was just gonna get to Will Lindbergh's questions. He says,
Mhm.
I would like to get some clarifications. My latest lipid test results were HDL 34, LDL calculated 81, non-HDL 100, and triglycerides of 95. His question is, do I need to be on a statin? And what is a non-HDL?
Okay. So there's HDL and LDL, high density lipids, lipoproteins, and low density lipoproteins. So, and that's kind of an arbitrary designation. It's not completely arbitrary. They measure the high density, and they actually like spin it down in a centrifuge, and the densities are different, and that's how they came to be known that way. The non-HDL is like, okay, they measure the HDL and then everything else is non-HDL, right? It's all the lipoproteins that are not part of that HDL. Your HDL levels are too low, and your triglycerides are okay under 100. But if your HDL levels are that low, then it would make me think that I don't know what your total cholesterol is, but it's probably pretty low if the HDLs are that low. And I'm sorry, what was the non-HDL? What was the number?
Non-HDL was 100.
100. So total cholesterol is going to be something like 130, 140, somewhere in there. And that's pretty low. So you definitely don't need a statin. You definitely need to find out why that is. And one of the things that you can do that helps this is to increase your omega-3 oils. So omega-3 fatty acids decrease inflammation and help you to improve the LDL or HDL triglyceride ratio, which is actually more important.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a link up for that in our chat if you're interested in the omega
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah. So the omega is something I recommend for everyone. And the reason is, after I did a whole bunch of study, I actually wrote an article. I hope everybody got that. The Home Cures That Work article on omega-3s, omega oils is, I think, the best article I ever wrote. And it is really good. And so if you can access that, go to Home Cures That Work and look up omega oils. And that it's going to teach you everything you need to know about oils. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be like, wow, is that what it is? You know, you'll know the difference between an oil, a fat, and a lipid. And you'll know the difference between a saturated fat and an unsaturated fat, and a polyunsaturated fat, and an omega-6 and omega-3. And you'll know all of this, and you'll know what's good and what's bad and what you should do. It's all just like clearly and easily spelled out. I just love that article.
I will put that in the chat in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, here is another question. It says the person says, I am on metoprolol.
Yes.
Okay, and I read that it can affect your blood sugar. I'm borderline on blood sugar number. Is there a medication similar to it that doesn't affect the blood sugar that I can talk to my cardiologist about?
Okay. Metoprolol is a beta blocker. It's a medication that blocks beta receptors. And one of the effects of that is to slow down the heartbeat. So if you need a beta blocker, if it's for blood pressure, then that's different from someone who needs a beta blocker for like atrial fibrillation or arrhythmias of the heart. So the reason you're on the beta blocker is very important. So it's not something that you just go, oh, I'll exchange, this herb for that beta blocker. In some cases, yeah, you could totally do that, but in other cases, it's not a good idea. So you'd have to talk to your cardiologist about that specifically, and because it just depends on why you're taking that beta blocker.
Okay. And then we have a little bit of a testimonial. Kevin in the Q&A said that I use Synachroma turmeric only, and I eliminated my metformin. My blood levels are fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. That is wonderful to hear, Kevin.
Work.
Thank you for sharing, Kevin. And if anybody else has any testimonial about taking omegas and seeing their HDLs improve, or turmeric and seeing their inflammation decrease, we love to gather all that information. And not just helps us, but it helps other people that you can make progress with your health,
Yeah.
Whether you're getting from us, we love it when you do, but just share the good news. It could be one of those things you're thankful for at the end of the day.
At the end of the day. One of the good things you did is you wrote a testimonial.
You help someone else. Listen,
Yeah.
I made change happen because sometimes we get stuck, not thinking our health is going to change, but it can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, we just have just but a couple minutes left. Let's see. Let's bring it back around to, the holiday season and, kind of our mindset for that. So, Dr. Saunders, many people kind of adapt that all or nothing mindset, like feeling like you ruined your diet after one indulgence, or oh my word, I was trying so hard and now I blew it. What advice can you give us on how to mentally reset and just, we don't want one holiday slip up to become a 2-month binge. Help us out
Okay.
with that.
Okay, that is a great concept. So the Christian concept of repentance
Mm,
is like so essential to consider, to just look at this at what it is. And that is you can repent of anything. That anybody can repent of anything, that you could commit all kinds of errors and repent of that. And starting right now, I'm from now on, I'm going to do it this way instead of that way. And so, you know what? If you mess up, you don't have to beat yourself up too much. Just a few stripes. You could beat yourself a few times, and then go, darn, I shouldn't have done that, and then move on, and it's perfectly okay. And that's where when in Christianity we talk about Jesus forgiving us. Well, part of it is we have to forgive ourselves.
Mhm.
And so you mess up, you go, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh well, I'm not going to eat anymore. Bye. And then you just go on. And so I'm going to learn my lesson from my mess ups. And that is kind of the big picture of why it's so important to make mistakes. Mistakes are important because you don't learn unless you make mistakes. People who do everything right all the time don't learn, they don't grow. If you've ever known anybody that says, I'm always right, who was it? Rush Limbaugh was,
Oh,
was
yeah.
always saying that he was always right. And if you're always right and you're never wrong, then you're not going to learn. You just stay on because you're always right. But what it really means is you're ignoring all of the things that you could be learning. So when you make a mistake, rejoice and be happy and go, "Hey, I learned something, man. I don't really like marshmallows that much." And so there you go. That's what I did. I ate a marshmallow the other day, and I'm like, you know what? They don't really have any flavor. I don't really like them that much. So, you know, I don't have to eat any more marshmallows.
I love that. That is a perfect way to end with you today, Dr. Saunders, with a message of hope. Thank you for that
Thank
and avoid
you.
the marshmallows. We will let you get back to your patients.
Okay.
We've got people to see. And then Cheryl, I do think you were mentioning earlier you had some links you wanted to share for some good reading.
Oh, yes. So we actually, Dr. Saunders mentioned earlier that he wrote this article about omega oils. So he writes for one of our publication called Home Cures That Work. It's been around for 18 years. If you want to get inside Dr. Saunders' brain, you can just go to that website. It used to be a paid subscription. Now everything is free. So I included that Omega article in the chat. And then this month we have two other articles that might be helpful for you. One of them is about family, holiday, stress, and eating. And the other one is about blood sugar balances and like what foods you can swap to have better blood sugar during the holidays. So one of them is cauliflower. I
Oh,
don't buy into the cauliflower. I
yeah.
will eat a cauliflower crust pizza, but don't give me cauliflower mashed potatoes.
Hmm.
Not the same. But
You have to
there are,
slather them with a bunch of gravy.
yes,
And then
there's
you're defeating the purpose.
there are some swaps that might be beneficial, that might, tantalize your taste buds. So I'm putting in that in the chat right now. Healthy holiday cooking, 9 smart swaps to keep blood sugar steady. And then
Mm.
the other one is about powerful tips to beat holiday family stress.
All sound very, very important. And I love the idea of getting into Dr. Saunders' brain there. Our time goes so quickly each week, and we don't get to all of the questions. We try to get to as many as we can, but unfortunately, we can't get to them all. But if you go to the Home Cures That Work and you read some of his articles, you might find some of the answers to your questions, or it might create some additional questions you have, and then bring them back here next week because we will be here, same time, same place.
Elaine asks, I think we might be able to answer this question. I have
Sure.
chia seeds every day. Any reasons why I need the pill for omega-3? No, you wouldn't need our omega-3. However, Dr. Saunders says you can often change up your omega-3. So some people get it through fish. So our omega supplement is through fish.
Mhm.
But sometimes your body needs the vegetable source, which is chia seeds, or maybe you can do flax. So it's good to change it up for your body. It actually improves the absorption of your different omegas.
Mhm.
So you may not need it, but if you want to have fun, try it. And
Yeah,
remember,
getting it from different sources is very
yeah,
important.
yes, exactly.
All right. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week. Bring your questions back, and we will do our absolute best to answer as many as we can.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye, Cheryl, and you
Bye,
have a great
Jody.
week too.
You too. Bye all.